Start your week smiling with your friends, Kathy Zant and Michelle Frechette. It's time to get ready for some weekly motivation with WP Motivate. Happy Thursday, Kathy.
Happy Thursday, Michelle. How are you?
Oh, it's another one of those days where I woke up thinking, oh, thank God it's Friday. And then I realized it's not. So,
Same. I woke up and thought it was Friday, and then I saw the garbage cans, and I'm like, dang it, it's Thursday. But I'm
I
happy to get rid of the garbage,
mean,
but still,
exactly.
dang it. Because
It's not
usually
like
it's like holiday weekend, if at
yes,
least
I
in the US
know.
it's gonna be holiday, and I'm like, 3-day weekend, I'm all ready for it.
I mean, it's not like work is torture or anything, but still, Friday has that special feeling to it. So,
It does. It has a special
yeah,
feeling, especially when Monday is not going to happen the next
I
week.
guess I could say that since I felt it today, I get that special feeling twice this week,
Yeah?
but also the unspecial thud of, oh, no, it's Thursday.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster. This week has been a roller coaster.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing here. It's been
Mhm.
it's been an interesting week. It's been a very bizarre week.
Yeah.
I told you, my brothers asked me for some help kind of basically just doing an investigation into my mother's, because she's my
Mhm.
mother's elderly and she's not online anymore. And so they wanted me to just like get into her stuff, see what I could find. And so I feel like I'm in the Wayback Machine, maybe
Yes.
just like excavating I finding things that it has just been an eye-opening experience. I'll just say that.
Oh, and you sent me a couple of messages of things you're finding, and I'm not going to out any of them for you, but I will say that it reminded me of, I don't remember how long ago we talked about it, maybe the spring or something. We talked about the art of Swedish death cleaning.
Yes.
And the idea of getting rid of things now so that your loved ones don't have to when you're gone.
Yes.
And how when I moved in here, even though my parents were still alive and still are, by the way, my mom and my stepdad, um, it took me the better part of a year to work through all the stuff they left behind without even touching my own stuff yet, right? And that my daughter knows that I'm really trying not to leave a ton of stuff. I mean, I'm only 55. I'll be 56 as well. It's not like I'm planning to die anytime soon, but you could get hit by a bus tomorrow. It happens, lightning strikes, right? So I'm conscious of the amount of shit I have in this house that is dear to me,
Yeah.
or maybe like I thought was dear to me, that kind of thing, but would not matter at all to her, right? Then you start talking about like reading your mom's old emails, looking through her accounts, things like that, and I'm like, "Oh, maybe we should talk about like the art of Swedish tech cleaning."
Yes.
Because there's things in our
It has
parents'
been,
email we should not see.
or what they're subscribed to on YouTube. Although I think my
Yes.
mom was like, everybody who, at the end of every video is like, if you got something out of this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. And I think
Yeah.
she's like, I better do that I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm unsubscribing from a lot of things, and I'm not even through the A's. Like, not like it's just, I just kind of want it all just kind of
Mhm.
tidied up. But doing that for her is making me look at my stuff now, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my, I
Oh
don't,
my.
let's get rid of, I think about it. I'm sure you're like this. You wake up in the morning, you look at your emails, and you probably delete how many of them that you're just like, you read the subject line and then delete them.
They're just gone, yeah. I just, like,
Yes.
wipe them clean, all spam, yeah.
And I'm not doing anybody any service by being subscribed to their newsletter at all. Like, if I'm not reading it. And
Yeah.
so I just felt like I'm going through my own emails now. Like, as I get it, I'm not going back and looking at stuff, but as I get something, I really am looking like, do I really want, I'm not consuming this person's content. I think, what they put out on socials is great, and I subscribed to them at one point, but it's
Yeah.
time to say goodbye for the inbox. The inbox cleanliness has just become incredibly important to me right now. And
Yeah.
just, yeah, that
Yeah.
and also I kind of want to create just this document of, here's what you need to kids. Something happened. Here's what you need to know. I just don't
Yes.
want my kids to have to go through what I am going through with my
Yeah.
brothers. And then Google's like, wait a minute, you don't live in Texas? What's going on? Here, give me another 6-digit code." And I'm just like, and my mom's at the point where
Oh,
she can't help with that. So my
right.
brother, I'll just say to my brothers, whoever's there next, I need to re-authenticate here, and
Yeah,
like, so it's just, but I don't want my kids to have to go through this for me.
right. Nope, same.
Because I've had to go through this
Exactly.
with Mark stuff, because when he had the stroke, he's
Mhm.
offline now. And so every day I have to go through, I've unsubscribed like to all of his like crazy stuff too. And there's just a
Yeah.
few that are still in there, but I still have to check his email at least a couple times a week and just see what's
Mhm.
going on. Checking on his socials every once in a while and see if anybody's writing to him because
Ugh,
he is
it's
still
so
here. And
frustrating.
some,
Yeah, he is, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
And it might be nice to tell him so and so said hello and those kinds of things, of course.
yeah.
Your mom
There's
may or may
one,
not recognize that, but even then, it's still nice to be able to pass those things along.
yeah. Yeah, there's a couple up in the Pacific Northwest that were clients of my husband. They still send him postcards. Like they go on a
Ugh,
trip and they send him postcards and they're
so
just like
sweet.
gold. They're just wonderful human beings. But
And I bet he likes when the
yeah.
postcards arrive.
Yeah, and so I just put
Yeah,
them up and then I send them a note when I get around to it. But thank
yeah.
you for doing that. Thank you for remembering he is still here and
Hmm.
getting better. He's motivated this week, which
Well,
is a
that's good.
little like, okay, yeah, you can
It's
get up
also
again.
exhausting for you.
He is not a
Yeah,
small man, and getting him up. I'm stronger now though. It doesn't torque me as much as it used to. That's one good thing about like going to the
yeah,
gym and getting stronger is I can pick it's not as hard. It doesn't hurt as much, so
yeah. I can understand
still
that.
hard.
Talking, you mentioned the word unsubscribe more than once. There are some things I would like to unsubscribe from that I can't. For example, my father, as we know, my father's no longer here. My father, every day when he'd remember, which was usually at least 5 days a week, would send out, he would receive a text message from my one of my youngest brother's basketball coaches with a Bible verse of the day and that coach, Coach Roy's take on the Bible verse. Okay, so a little mini Bible study
Yeah.
in your phone. My dad would copy that, paste it into a new text message, add his 2 cents at the top of it, sign it Bro Phil, like it's my brother from Brother Phil, and then send that out to over 60 people a day individually. He would do that.
Oh, wow.
And my mother, who of course is my father's ex-wife, first ex-wife, actually got so tired of it, she just typed unsubscribe. Now, when my dad died, his twin brother decided he was going to take up the cause. So at
Oh,
least
yeah.
5 days a week now, I am getting the same kind of thing from my Uncle Joe.
Wow.
I don't even read it. I just delete it every single time. I just delete it because yeah. Uncle Joe's spiritual journey is not my spiritual journey. I'll just say it that way. And I don't need his take on Bible verses and everything else. And of all the people in my whole family, he's my least favorite. I hope he never hears this podcast, but it's the truth. So, but I can't bring it upon myself to be the person in the family that types back to Uncle Joe, unsubscribe,
Yeah. That's so funny.
but I want to.
Yeah.
I've had my phone number for so many years, I can't just change my phone number to avoid him
Yeah.
either. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So funny. It's like, yeah. Once you get that phone number and it's on so many things and it's tied to so many accounts, it's like that's almost like a social security number.
yeah, yeah. And when we were younger, if you moved one town over, you got a new phone number because they were
Yeah.
all landlines and everything. But now that's not the way it is, right? So, like
Yeah.
when I was growing up, you didn't even know your area code. So I would say, "What's your phone number?" You rattled off 7 digits.
But
Uh,
I told Claire that I'm like, oh, I remember my phone number when I was growing up and I rattled it off. And she's like, why is it so short?
well, the area code was also this, all right? Like I can still tell
Yeah.
you. It was a yellow telephone hung on the wall in the kitchen. It was the only phone in the house. It had a 15-foot cord so my mom could put it on her shoulder, wash the dishes anywhere in that kitchen she could reach with that cord. And the phone number was 617-238-2511. And if anybody has that number now and anybody who actually listens to this podcast calls it, I am sorry to whoever owns that phone number that I just sicked at least
Yeah.
one person on you, but that was it, right? That was it. And
Yeah.
now, man, I've had this phone number for so long. I'll take it to the grave with me. I don't care what
Yeah.
version iPhone I have, it's going in the casket in case I'm still alive. I can call out. But
Oh, that's
uh,
funny.
I'm not going to be buried. I'm going to be cremated. And if they put it in there with me, it would probably explode. So, but it's a funny thought. It's a funny
Oh,
thought.
too funny. Yeah.
But it's
And
so
it's
true,
so funny
right?
because, like, do you remember, like, you used to memorize all your friends' phone numbers?
You
And
had to.
yeah. And now it's like, I don't even know. I don't know a lot of people's, like, like the things that I would have to do to get into my mom's stuff, they would say, now verify the phone number. And it would say like the N2 numbers. And I'm like, okay, that's her number. What is the number again? I don't remember
I mean, look it up in
my
my
own
phone.
mother's phone number. Like, and I
I
don't
don't,
know my kid, like, I don't know my kids' phone
yeah.
numbers. It's just in
Mm,
the phone. I'll look it up. It's crazy because I used to like
yeah.
memorize that. I remember like when I was in junior high school, I would, you had your folders and I would decorate folders and I would do like little circles and put everybody that I knew, I'd put their phone number on it. And so then like I'd make a new friend and I'm like, oh, well, let me put your phone number on my little designed thing. And people would be like, oh, that's so cool. Will you do that for me too? So then I do designs on people's folders with their phone numbers of all their friends. And I'm like, okay, well, who goes in the inner circle?
Mm-hmm.
It was so
It's so
funny.
funny. When I moved in here, like I have a new refrigerator now because I learned to replace the refrigerator before it dies.
Yeah.
And I did that without losing any food. But like I inherited, they're still alive, but I assumed, I guess is
Yeah.
the right word, the washer dryer, the furnace, which also has been replaced because whatever. Um, the hot water tank, the dishwasher, all those things. In the kitchen junk drawer was a big old thick folder of all the manuals for all of the things, the microwave, the oven, the stove.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, as long as I've ever owned anything, I've never opened the manual. Secondly, we live in the digital age. If I need to look up how my microwave works, I'm not going to look for a little booklet that might be in a drawer in the house somewhere. I'm just going to pull out my phone and search for it, right? So my mother was mortified that I threw all of those away.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, by the way, if you need them, all of the manuals for all of the appliances are in that drawer." I go, "Oh yeah, I already threw them out." "What do you mean you threw them out?" I'm like, "Mom, everything is online. I don't need another stack of papers in the house."
Yeah, seriously.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got the drawer full of manuals too that the previous owners left and I've
Yes.
added to. And
Mhm.
yeah.
But at least you do not have your wine fridge open, right? So at least there's that.
Yeah, the wine fridge is still don't know where that key is. I'll find it one of these days when we move, most likely. And
There
I'll
you
be like,
go.
what the heck's this thing? Ah, throw it in the
Yeah.
junk drawer. I won't even know what's the wine fridge key.
For sure.
Oh,
Well, the other thing too is just the little trinkety things. I can't remember if I told the story or not, but um, when I was married before, my husband's house, it was in really bad shape, so we put it on the market to flip it. Didn't make a lot of money off it. We just basically got out from underneath it. So we're in that house cleaning it out. Have I told you the story before?
I
And
don't
we're
think so.
okay. We're in this house cleaning it out, and we're in it's a split level, and we're in the half of the basement that's the utility room, right? Like the rest of it's TV room, whatever. So we're in the part that's
Yeah.
the unfinished, the washer, dryer, everything. And we're sweeping up and we're sorting through what tools he wants to keep, what he's gonna get rid of, all these things. And I reached down on the floor and I pick up the face of a dial. You know how like you have the dial in front of the dryer, it says like permanent press, cotton,
Yeah.
like whatever, right? I pick up one of those and I look to the dryer and it's got one. I look to the washer just in case and it's got one. So I toss it on the trash pile. My ex walks over, picks that up, and puts it in his pocket. And I said, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm just going to save it." I said, "For what? These washers, dryers have them. It's clearly from a unit you no longer own." Well, you never know when you might need one. I was like, you think you're gonna buy somebody's old used dryer that this one actually is the replacement for something that might be missing at some point in the next 50 years of your life? I said, throw it away. Did
It
he?
could happen. Come on. I've got
He
ugh,
he didn't throw it away. He didn't throw it away. That
I've
should
got
have
the
been the first red
box of
flag.
I've got the box of important things that I'm like, "Ooh, what's in here?" And I opened that up of my husband's stuff and went through that, and it's like
Uh,
that kind of stuff in there.
yeah. Yeah. As or old
Pack
keys.
rats.
Like, I have found so many old keys in this house. They don't go to the well, first of all, I've replaced all the locks anyway. I've replaced because I don't know who they've given keys to, what neighbors might have a
Sure.
key. So I replaced all the locks anyway. So I find an old key, just throw it out. There's no safe here. There's only two doors, one through the garage, one out the front door. Those have been replaced. Any key that I find in this house doesn't go to anything. Run them away. And then they except the mailbox. I did keep the mailbox keys because I do need those. But and I don't e and then my locks are all electronic now, so I only need a key to drive my car. Like, that's it,
Yeah.
in my mailbox. But, she was mortified when she found out I threw away keys. "Well, mom, I don't have anything for them to go to." "Well, you might need them." "For what?"
You could just put them on one of those giant keychain or
I
binder
could.
clips or whatever it is, and you have a giant thing of keys that you can
Be the
shake at
Dwight
people.
Schrute of our family.
Yeah.
Make a necklace of them, like, wear it on Halloween so it jingle jangles and things. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Exactly. Well, you're harvesting your beets, you have.
Now, our parents were the original boomers, right? So they were the ones
Yeah.
whose parents served in the world wars, 1 or 2
Mhm.
or, whatever age they are. Um, they were the ones whose parents went through the depression. They were the ones whose parents scrimped and saved and repurposed because we didn't live in a disposable society like we do now. And I'm not saying that I want to throw everything out. But what I am saying is our parents were afraid to throw anything out because that's how they were raised.
Yeah.
My grandmother saved everything because she lived through World War II. She lived through the Great Depression, and you really didn't know when something like that might be useful. I mean, not necessarily the dial to the front of a dryer, but things, right? Like, maybe I could repurpose that into an art or a craft. But my ex-husband was neither artsy or crafty, regardless of the fact that his name was Art. And none of those keys are gonna go to anything, so, yeah. But to get back to the digital aspect of it, you've inspired me because if I go and if I go and look at my regular Gmail right now, good Lord help us. Oh, there's only 3,134 sitting in my inbox.
Unread emails?
Oh, no, they're red. I just
Okay.
never delete any.
Gotcha.
So, that's gonna be I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do it this weekend because we all know I won't, but that'll be a winter project. I will
I have
challenge myself.
43,000 emails in there.
Okay, then
43,000
I don't
archived
feel so
emails.
bad. I don't feel so bad then. But
I mean,
I'm
they're all
gonna
archived, but still, what's in
yeah,
there? And why does, I mean, obviously, if it's in Gmail, it's in a database at Google somewhere. Do I want a
taking up
permanent record in big
right.
tech of everything that's in there?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I've had a Gmail account for 20 years. I was one of the, remember when Gmail came out and you had to get an invite in order to get it? And I was just
Yes.
like, ooh, I want this Google email. I bet you it's going to be amazing. And got my invite,
Mhm.
got in, and it's just like, yeah, this is so much easier. I'm not going to deal with
Yeah,
like the web host's email
right.
system. I think I was on like
Exactly.
DreamHost at that time for my email, and it was yeah, still DreamHost's email is not all that great for webmail. So they were using Squirrel Mail. It was just a bizarre interface, and
Oh,
it
I
was
remember Squirrel Mail. Yeah, I used
you
to
remember
deal with
Squirrel
that. I
Mail?
do. I do.
It was pretty basic. So
It
when
was squirrely.
when you've got Gmail versus Squirrel Mail, you're gonna go with the big
Hmm.
G, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
20 years of my digital correspondence in there, like, I don't even know. I mean, if I go back to the beginning, what am I gonna find? I'm, like, mortified. I'm going back through like, my mom's got has, like, 80,000 emails in there, and there's, like, 50,000 when I started that were unread that needed attention. I mean, 99% of it so far
Sure.
has just been going through
Junk.
and finding mailing lists and just like select
Mhm.
all, delete, unsubscribe, just like going through this whole process.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can do it and do other things at the same time because it's easy to multitask doing all of that, but I don't know. It just really is a wake up call of, do
Yeah.
I want a permanent record of me in big tech? I mean,
Hmm.
Facebook's already going to have a permanent record of me.
Yeah.
Do I want Google to have that? And who else has a permanent record of me?
Your
Like,
doctor's
do I really
office,
want
every hospital
that?
visit you've ever had, like all of those things.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
honestly, big tech hasn't necessarily shown um a commitment to the sanctity of your information, so to
Right.
speak. So
Right.
and you never know. I mean, remember when Google used to say do no evil and that was like their thing, and then they took that off, and then who knows, do no what now? I don't even know.
Now
But
it's just do evil. Do evil.
do do evil. Yes, for $1 million, I will be evil. But people change,
Yeah.
leadership changes, philosophies change, and really, you're the only one that's like in charge of like what you're
Hmm.
putting places. Like all of
Yeah.
the Slack messages that we communicate, like we've trusted Slack for so many organizations, and it's like you're not in control. It's all being stored and warehoused somewhere
Hmm.
on these big servers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, and I don't also want my kids, there's certain things. I mean, I'm looking at the emails when I first met my husband of like all the goofy stuff we were saying back and forth, and I'm just like, I want to remember that, and I don't want to delete it. But
Right.
do I want my kids reading all of it? Probably not. I don't think they want. They'll probably be like, "Oh, mom was so gross," like,
Well,
can you delete mom?
I can't remember if I told you about when I took the job at the University of Rochester years and years ago, how the fellow that had the job before me left his pay stubs in the drawer.
Oh wow.
And I discovered at that point that I had actually was hired in making more money than the man that was leaving the position. And I felt like, Helen Reddy, I am woman, hear me
Yeah.
roar. But they also didn't shut his email down for a couple weeks, so I could make sure that anything that came through,
Yeah.
I could take care of if they went to him because it was a big university. So what do I do is I'm trying to learn my job. So I go into his email. I'm just looking to see what kinds of stuff he's received, what kinds of questions, how he answered them. And he had a folder in his email that I don't remember what it was called, but it was something innocuous. But as soon as I opened it, was pictures of his girlfriend's boobs, like naked, nude pictures of his girlfriend's anatomy. And I was just
Oh,
like,
geez.
okay, number one, your work email? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Just
you never
don't.
know. It's like, girls, we joke about the fact like we have a girlfriend who, if we die, knows to empty the nightstand before our kids find the nightstand.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? Because, we're adults. Um, but the same thing should be true of your email. Like there should be somebody who goes in and like you need to delete these folders. Don't look
Yeah.
at them.
Yeah.
Just delete them before my daughter gets in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
think I'm
I'm
just
not
ready to
saying I
clean
have
them all out.
yeah, I
I
don't have
just
pictures of my boobs in there. I'm not saying that, but there's
yeah.
still like there's a whole file from my divorce of things in there in case I ever needed whatever. And my daughter doesn't need to
Yeah.
read through those things. She doesn't need. There's nothing that she can't, but she shouldn't have to. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and what kind of
Yeah.
digital footprint?
Oof.
What kind of carbon footprint are we
That
using?
too. Yeah. Like there are server farms. I know that like in the northern Illinois area where I am from, my brother works for a landscaping company, and I know part of the work that they've done has been around a certain data center,
Hmm.
and it's massive, absolutely massive,
Yeah.
and it's all just servers, and servers use electricity, and so how is this
Hmm.
necessary, I
Yeah.
mean, I people complain about Bitcoin and all of that stuff and all the server, let's complain about like the data farms of data and information of an email you sent to, some guy 20 years ago. Do we
Yeah.
need to keep this stuff?
Probably not.
Really?
I'm gonna go with
Do we
no.
need
We
to
don't.
burn up fossil fuels to run a server to keep this stuff? Because I know
Just
if
print
it's
it.
for my Mom, now I'm looking at my email going, geez, I don't want my
Yeah,
kids going through this. Like,
yeah. Just print it
not,
out
and
and
there's not much
keep it in a
that's super
folder.
embarrassing, but what's that?
Print it out and keep it in a folder in the junk drawer. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
See, I had when we lived in Mount Shasta, I still had my high school journals and I just kept everything. Like I had certain things, like I had certain clothes from college that I kept, and I had certain journals that I kept, that paper journals that I had. And when I left Mount Shasta, I knew that that was the last time I'd probably have, because I was moving to Arizona. Knew I wouldn't have a wood stove again. And so I just
Hmm.
had a little party
Yep.
reading the old journals and burning it up. Like it's gone. I
Yep.
do I am healed. I don't need to remember like the emotional trauma of being 16 ever again. Burn it up,
Hmm.
burn it down. And so I'm
Yep.
kind of going through like a digital bonfire, my mom's stuff, and I'm going to start my own. So,
Good for you. I love it.
yeah.
I actually wore the motor out on a shredder once by shredding all the old stuff. I didn't want
Did
anybody else
you?
to have to deal with. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
and it's not even that I like, it's not that anybody couldn't, like, it was anything people couldn't read, but it was like old bills and things that had numbers on there, account numbers and phone numbers and addresses that I didn't want to end up, in a garbage or
sure.
in a recycling
Sure.
center. So I shredded it first, but man, that was putting off some heat, that shredder that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I
For
bet.
sure.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just the idea of, I like to think I'm so tech savvy, but I know that there will become a time when tech is going to outpace me. I'm going to get older and I'm going to be like my mother who thinks she needs a computer and doesn't really need a computer anymore and is dangerous to have a smartphone in my hand. Like I told you, like the time my mom accidentally went live on Facebook.
Yeah. Yes. I was talking to a friend of mine
Yeah.
too, and she's like, I've watched my mom with a smartphone, and it's going to be she either needs to get a cover for it so that she's not, accidentally pushing things, or she needs to
Yeah.
like transition to like a dumb phone because it's not working for her right now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine getting to that point, but maybe now I'm starting to wonder, I'm looking at the further back I go as I'm going through my mom's stuff, it's like I'm seeing where like, okay, there's like a whole spate of password resets, and here you forgot your username. Well, here it is. Like, like you could see where
Yep.
about the point where things started kind of getting
Yeah.
rough for her. I'm like, how will I know? I guess I'll know that if I get to that point, it's like if I can't remember like username, password, if I can't get into my password manager, then I know. Please just
Right.
take this all away from me. I'm just gonna let me just go sit
Yeah.
and watch clouds go by. I'm
Yeah.
done.
I think it's funny because like last it was when I went to word camp Asia, not this year but last year. And my mother, you've heard me talk about her, other people have heard me talk about her, we've talked about her on this podcast. Um, she doesn't have the ability to walk well. I don't walk well, but I'm fine sitting, right? My legs work, they just don't hold me up the right way. My mother has no balance and she has MS and she has no control over her limbs. And she said to me at that point in time, "Can I borrow your car while you're in Asia?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Oh, are you lending it to somebody else?" And I said, "No. But mom, you cannot drive anymore." "Well, I still have a license, but you cannot drive anymore. It's not safe for you, and it's definitely not safe for other people who are walking
Yeah.
or on the road." I think that when it comes time for my daughter to say, "Mom, we think it's time for you to sell your car," that will be easier than, "Mom, we're taking away the laptop."
Yeah.
But luckily,
Yeah.
those are still years away.
Man,
Let's hope, right?
knock on wood.
I know,
It
I
just but
know.
years go by so quickly. I mean, if you think about it, she had me when she was 25, so she's 25 years ahead of me. So probably like 4 or 5 years ago that she but you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna say that to myself of like I've only got 20 years.
Right
Like
now.
I can't do that. I feel different. And of course, I'm not, you know, she's still my mom. Love my mom. She has smoked her entire life.
Mm.
And she's still, my brother goes over there and he sits and he watches, he supervises and he lets her smoke. He's like, she's in her 80s if it hasn't killed her yet. just let her have it, right? I I've made much different choices about my health and taking care of myself than she has, but still,
Mhm.
it's just the idea of aging. I'm just like, I'm
Yeah.
not ready to just like start retire. I'm like so much more. I'm so excited about like the future of like what can
Yeah.
happen. I'm not ready to give up. Like,
Mhm.
no, makes time stop. Like 20, only 20 more years. I better get busy. So I'm having all
Yeah.
this like it's really affecting
I
me.
know.
Like I'm very discombobulated right now in terms of there's so much more I want to do. I want to get busy doing it now because it's like
Mhm.
I want to retire and I want to have I want to have good retirement years, not retiring because something's wrong and I can't do stuff anymore. I want to retire because it's like, all right, not going to work now. And now let's go party, let's go have some
Yeah.
fun. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
move to Florida and put up one of those like loofahs or whatever. I'm not doing, no, I'm not doing
Put
that kind of
put the
party.
pineapple upside down on your door?
Oh, is that another sign?
I think
I only
so.
know about the colored loofah things. I'm like out of it.
I can't even remember
I'm
what the
like,
name of that retirement community is called. The Trade Winds or something. Where this like every single every single I was an ancient, was the elderly person has like chlamydia and gonorrhea or something because they're constantly bed hopping.
yeah. See, that's not the party I'm going to. I'm
No, no, no,
no.
no.
I don't even know what party I'm going to. It's like is there a party for retired people who just want to like go hang out in the mountains and go hiking with their dogs? Because that's the one I want to go to if that party
Yeah,
exists.
that
So
sounds like more fun for sure.
for
Absolutely.
sure.
Taking the dog for a walk, maybe a few crystals in your pocket.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, unfortunately, these things don't clean up themselves. So we still have to go through. I went through and cleaned up my mother's email not too long ago as well. She
Yeah.
finally when we had the she went live on Facebook accidentally episode, she gave me passwords to log into everything because she at that point realized that she makes mistakes. And I think it was
Yeah.
difficult for her to realize that. It also was at that point that she made me the password protector expert login person. I don't know. I guess you can make somebody give somebody else access to your one password or Dashlane or whatever
Yeah.
she's using. I don't remember. And then she also added me as the other person on her my chart. So her medical charts.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
see a lot of receipts of those things in there. I'm like, what is all of this?
Yeah.
I just throw it all in one
Yeah.
folder. I'll look at it later.
Well,
It's
I
not money. That's what my brothers are like.
yeah.
She's got money somewhere. I found money though, so I've this has been a profitable excursion, at
Well,
least
that's
for my
good.
brothers, who
Yeah.
that they've taken care of her. But yeah, my charts. I was like, what is all this stuff? I have no idea. Do I save these? There's
Nah.
years of them.
I called my mom about 2 weeks ago and I said, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, why?" I said, "Well, because I know you were in the emergency room last night and that you didn't break your shoulder and you only broke your arm because she has a broken arm from falling a couple weeks before that. How did you know?" I said, "Mom, you have me on your my chart. I was getting text message notifications of all your like test results all night long."
Oh my gosh.
"I should take you off of there." I said, "No, don't take me off of there. I just need to silence my phone when I go to bed." But yeah, so our parents, we love them, may we never be them.
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's the
that's a good way of thinking about
maybe
it.
that's the
Yeah.
title of the Swedish tech cleaning, or if there's a fly, or the or our parents, may we never be them. You
Yeah.
are the one who titles our episodes.
Okay.
Choose whatever
Uh,
feels good.
all right, will do. I think
Oh,
Swedish tech
anyway,
cleaning is a good one
I
to
do too. I do too.
yeah.
Well, whoever you are listening to us, wherever you are, maybe, take stock of what you have out there in your tech world, things that you can unsubscribe from, things you can delete, and things that you should maybe put in place so that if something did happen to you, you wouldn't have to go through all of the issues that we as children have had to go through for our parents just to gain access to the things that they want us to have access to, but at
Yeah.
this point don't know how to give it to us. So yeah, so put some things in place for those to make life a little bit easier for yourselves and for your kids or your nieces or nephews or whoever will be taking care of you and your
Yeah,
with your end of life situation. So, oh, thanks for the laughs, Kathy.
that's what I'm here for. I'm
we
laughing over here. The
we
comedy
could
has been
cry
pretty ripe with a few things because I'm
for
just
sure.
like, Mom, what were you doing? She she I will say a couple of things.
Yes.
She sent an email to herself, no body, just a subject line to herself. And it says, I can't get this to print. I'm like, she must have been really frustrated to send herself
We're-
get some.
oh,
I just like imagine her there, like, I can't get that. She's just venting it to her.
it's like that woman I told you about a few weeks ago that kept putting in the Nextdoor app, unsubscribe. People are saying that's
Yeah.
not how this works.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So funny.
Oh
People
my
are
goodness.
funny.
I can't
Gotta
get this
keep
to
laughing.
print.
That's all we got.
Absolutely. Ah, well, thanks for keeping me laughing even through the tough times, Kathy. I love you so much.
Love you too.
Everybody else, yeah, we like you. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
This has been WP Motivate with Kathy Zant and Michelle Frechette. To learn more or to sponsor us, go to WPMotivate.com.